I killed Effany. I admit it. I'm proud of it. No, I love the character. The character was wonderful. I could have done that episode without killing Effany. I told Rob, I said, I can go either way with this. And Rob reported back that I guess Danielle had some commitments or something like that, and the decision was made, well, let's just kill off the character. So I said, okay, all right, but you know, this is a beloved character. We're going to have to deal with that consequence. And so she had to die.
No! My queen!
It was a big loss for the Amazon nation to lose Effany, and that became a major contribution as to why Gabrielle took over the Amazons. I mean, you have to think about it. When she took over the Amazons, Gabrielle was struggling to figure out what is the best course here. And I was really playing in my mind that she wasn't trying to please Xena at all, but she was saying, can I live up to Effany?
This doesn't make any sense. It's fighting, war.
We were, by this episode, starting to take her from the complete pacifist into the realm of warrior. Not only did we know that, that we wanted the character to arc again, but also we felt that it was going to be very hard for her to play a passive character in so many of the situations for so long on a series and not get into the thick of things and what that would do to a character once she does have to kill. So yeah, we were making sort of conscious steps to amplify the lack of her passivity as we go.
All right, we need to build a defense for this village. Is that correct, Gabrielle?
Thank you.
We always would try to be lighthearted, at least if it's for 35 seconds before someone comes running up and saying, Xena, my entire family's been burned in a in a horrible accident. You need to come help. I think also it sort of sets the tone for the audience that even if they're going to go on a journey of despair, that the relationship between these two characters is so pivotal to the show, and it's always a great way to sort of remind the audience that Xena and Gabrielle are actually, you know, the best of friends, and that's always first and foremost prior to the adventure of the week.
You've gotten really good at that.
You want to see?
The interesting change with Gabrielle in this, and it also comes through with her discussions with Brutus, is how firm she is, how confident she is. She basically says, no, I don't want a war, but if you want a war, I will fight you. Now that's a very careful distinction from the character, what we've seen before.
We really know different Caesars.
Caesar doesn't care about the Amazons. What happened was an accident. If we can make sure it doesn't happen again.
I can.
The discussion between her and Brutus, to me, is extremely illuminating. Before, she would have said, I don't want a war, what can we do to stop this? No, she said, I'm going to meet force with force, but only if it comes at me first. That is a statesman. That's somebody who is very knowledgeable, very wise, and somebody who truly cares about their people, obviously.
As Queen of the Amazons, I propose a treaty of peace to Caesar. We're not afraid to fight or to die.
The Roman politics always seems to come back and forth, back and forth. At that time, we were sort of enmeshed in Roman politics, even in the Amazon world. And once again, little known portion of history, which was the Amazons had a treaty with Brutus. And so, you know, we always feel that it's important for us to shed light on some of these lesser known historical events. And certainly the Amazons' treaty with Caesar and Brutus was an important one to tell.
You surprised me. I accept. Contingent on Caesar's approval, of course. And Xena.
Where I wanted to start with the character Brutus was to portray him as somebody who had fallen under the charismatic spell of Caesar. I mean, Caesar was an incredible general, and his men knew that. They followed him blindly. Well, Brutus was no exception. if this is good for Caesar, it must be good for Rome, because Rome is what Caesar is all about. Well, I wanted to start seeing that being stripped away. And one of the ways to do this was the interaction with the Amazon.
Brutus, if I hand you over to Pompey, he's going to kill you.
And I don't think you have much choice.
That's where you're wrong. I do have choices. I've had choices since we first captured you. No, I think I'd rather give you back to Caesar.
Were there really any Amazons in Greece? Well, you obviously haven't seen Endgame, because yes, of course there were. In the Xena world, yes. We always love to play with Amazons, as you may remember. I in particular like to play with Amazons. And so it was decided that we would bring some Amazons back into our sphere who hadn't been there for a while. It was a great way to do some of the themes and things that we wanted to do at the time.
What were you thinking?
Amazon justice for a killer. And my tribe...
And your tribe doesn't matter here. This is my tribe. I think you need a few days to think about that.
I remember we had long discussions about how we wanted to do this. I mean, we knew that we wanted to have Xena be responsible for Caesar's death, but we couldn't have Xena kill Caesar because that was so well recorded in history. We didn't want to totally violate it. So the point was we had to have Xena being instrumental in manipulating events so that they led there. And a lot of this episode was manipulating Brutus.
Xena, your vision of Caesar is blinded by hatred. He is the only hope to restore the democracy of the Republic.
And a man like you would do well in his democracy, huh? Brutus, your faith in Caesar is misplaced. One day you're going to have to decide whether you're Caesar's man or your own.
Brutus has been portrayed, interestingly enough, in history, has been portrayed as a betrayer. He betrayed Caesar. He killed Caesar. It's kind of a dark portrayal. But stop and think. You're talking about a dictator. He killed a dictator. He killed someone who was trying to abolish Senate law. So really, Brutus wasn't a bad guy, and Brutus had his reasons for doing this. It was for the betterment of Rome.
I know Caesar. He wouldn't betray a friend.
Pompey was a friend. And Crassus wasn't Crassus a friend too? I was once a very good friend of his. But maybe you're special. Remember, this was your doing.
I liked Brutus. Brutus was there truly because he had a mission. He wasn't trying to do anybody wrong. He was following orders, and he was really trying to seek a way out for all the forces involved. So he went back to Caesar with the answer. He knew exactly what the answer was. I mean, he had it. He had the agreement in his hand.
A peace treaty. The Queen of the Amazons promises to respect the territories of...
If they're not under my control, Brutus, they're a threat.
What does Caesar do? He just tosses it off. It makes no difference. And in Brutus's mind at that moment, he realizes this is all about power. It has nothing to do with Rome. It has nothing to do with peace. It has nothing to do with what's right. Every illusion he had about Caesar had crumbled.
There was a rumor that Xena was headed towards the Amazons. Any word of that?
No. Nothing I'm aware of.
Well, Xena knows Caesar better than anybody else. So when she saw Brutus head off, knew what the interaction was going to be with Caesar, she knew she was laying the seeds of his own destruction. In a broader sense, Xena knew the only way to destroy Caesar was from within.
You're a loyal friend.
Xena was responsible for the death of everybody. And even if it wasn't by her hand, she certainly manipulated the situation so it did happen. And I don't think she's been given full credit in the history books, which was one of the reasons that we wanted to do these episodes, to set the record straight.